The suffix ology is used to denote the science of or study of a particular subject, such as biology being the study of life, or theology referring to the study of gods. But the ology is how I'm going to refer to a series of books, games, and more that spawned from the book Dragonology by the author Dragonology. The book was originally published in 2003. This is my original copy that I had growing up, and I've also picked up a copy of Monsterology, Piratology, and Wizardology. These books were a huge hit in the early 2000s, and I remember friends having a few of them, as well as a couple copies even being in our school library, specifically the more education-adjacent ones, Egyptology and Mythology. Since the series' inception, there have been almost 30 books published, with the most recent coming out in 2020. What exactly are these books, though? Well, they're fictional textbooks/journals. Though Dragonology is written by Dragonology, it presents itself as being written by the fictitious Dr. Ernest Drake. It covers the variation and classification of dragons, the history and life cycle of them, how to find them, and even more. The thing that still draws me to a book series intended for children is just how visually enchanting the books are. Dragonology had a lot of different artists work on it, and the illustrations done by Helen Ward, Douglas Carroll, and Wayne Anderson really worked to bring the book to life. The depictions of different dragons are distinct and detailed, really making it feel like there's multiple unique species of dragons. The books themselves are very large, though not especially long. This is because they have thick pages made of two heavy pieces of paper. This design is to allow for inserts such as these textural samples, as well as support pockets and mini booklets on the pages. Now that I think about it, there had to have been a copy of Dragonology at my school, because I have a distinct memory of this specific insert being completely worn off from how many different people had touched it. Interactive elements are consistently used throughout the series, and along with this strong sense of design, it's what makes the series what it is. The actual writing within the books, I have to say, is probably the least intriguing element to me. Kind of a weird thing to say about a series of books, I know. I can give the writing a pass, as I think the strength really comes into play with the creativity and ideation of the books, rather than the literal words on the page. But I also haven't read every book in the series, so I can't speak to the quality across the board. Regretfully, I didn't have enough time or money to purchase and go through each and every book in the series. I mean, it's been over 6 months since my last video, so at some point I had to get it done. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm working on graduating college right now. It's taken some time. So sadly, I can't give an overall ranking or tell which are the cream of the crop, but from the reviews I've seen online, they're all generally well liked. Also, I'm sure even if I read all of them, I'd probably still say that Dragonology is the best, and it will continue to be the best until they make a Cowboyology. Or maybe I'll make a Cowboyology. In addition to the main series Ology books, there's also quite a few companion books, such as Working with Dragons, A Course in Dragonology, and the Egyptology Handbook, A Course in the Wonders of Egypt. And more of these sort of handbook spin-offs, which typically lack the interactive elements of the larger books and had more pages with a bigger focus on the writing. I had the Wizardology companion book, and I don't remember a lot, other than I really liked it and there were some really cool stickers in the back. I also feel like it was teaching me how to make my own robe, but I didn't know how to sew, so I don't think I did anything other than ruin some fabric. There's a few code writing kits and even a few books that came with models. The models being made of a stiff cardboard that you sort of slotted together to create a 3D sculpture. Although it seems these companion books must not have been as popular as the main series entries, because after Monsterology they stopped being produced and the last 9 entries into the series have not featured any companion pieces. Although one of the more recent books is in a way a companion piece. Dungeonology, which was made in collaboration with the fantastic Dungeons & Dragons. Although, looking at it, it seems to not have a lot of the hallmarks that made the original Ology books so special, lacking the interactivity and reusing already existing artwork. Also, sorry to interject with this, just sort of here in the middle of everything, but of course as I was editing this video, I just so happened to go to Goodwill one day and look what I found. This is definitely one of the cooler books in the series. There's an additional sort of puzzle element to the book, The front ring comes out, and you can use this to filter things, to discover hidden messages, and use the cipher to decode things. Also, this book features photography in it, which I can't say I remember seeing in any of the other books, but this is probably one of the only ones where it could work. So would I recommend you check these books out? Well, if they cover a fantastical topic that you already have an interest in or find fun, chances are you'll get some entertainment out of them. And if you look on eBay or at a used bookseller, you can often find them for an incredibly reasonable price. $5 is an insanely good price for a book with such wonderful design and just stuffed full of imagination. And of course, the target audience for these books are children. They're really great for pretty much any age. They're really word heavy, so younger kids will probably just like them as picture books, but that's still fun. They have great pictures in them. So, neat books, end of story? Not quite. As it turns out, when something becomes incredibly successful, there's bound to be a desire to monetize it as much as possible. And the Ology series definitely expanded beyond just the books. That's right, we're talking merchandising. I'm talking wooden construction kits. I'm talking jigsaw puzzles. I'm talking calendars. That's right, calendars. Which, side tangent, why are expired calendars so expensive? There's something to be said about scarcity and, collectability, but this is a calendar. You can't use it. The year is gone. Oh, but that's not even the most expensive one. Someone's trying to sell a copy of the Dragonology calendar for almost $200 on Amazon. Okay, full disclosure, I was going to do a bit where then I cut to me owning the calendar because I thought, I found a cheaper one selling online and I thought, it'd be funny to imply that I bought a $200 calendar. I thought it'd be a fun little cutaway. But instead of sending me a copy of the calendar, they sent me another copy of Dragonology. I love the book, but I don't need two of them. Plushies. Dragon plushies, mythology plushies, mythology plushie, Sababa Toys, who were producing the merchandise for the mythology series, went under in 2008, which left a lot of things mid-production. If soft things aren't your style, there's a whole slew of figurines. There's dragon figures, wizard figures, pirate figures, and mythology figures, all of which suck. There's just nothing exceptionally special about these. I mean, what's better about these pirates versus these pirates, or these wizards versus these? If you're really into the book series, I guess you'd probably like them, but that's kind of the pitfall of having a series that revolves around such general things. It's hard to have really standout, unique designs while also staying faithful to the expectations people already have for those things. Also, don't even get me started on how hard it is to find mythology stuff related to this series. When you Google mythology, this is on like the 1000th page of the search results, and honestly, why not just stop when you get to the Percy Jackson part? And even the most enthusiastic Ology fans, who probably loved all the figures, might not find themselves too into the different tabletop games, some board games, some card games. On BoardGameGeek.com, they have scores ranging from the best at 5.2 out of 10 to the worst, which is a miserable 3.5 out of 10. A general consensus surrounding many of the games is that the rules are under-tested or broken, and many people said in their reviews that the games only became playable or fun after they made their own house rules. Additionally, a lot of the games are very random, and winning is based on luck more than anything else. In regards to the Dragonology board game, one customer left this scathing review. Cute figures, but they taste horrible. But I didn't want to base my opinion entirely off of other people's reviews. I mean, a flavor palette is a very personal thing. Maybe I'll find the figures delectable. So I figured I'd pick up one of the games and see what I thought. I wanted to pick up the Vampirology game since it was the only one I didn't already have the book for, but I think it only got released in the UK, and I didn't want to wait a month for it to ship to me. So I picked up the Piratology board game instead. My immediate first thought as I opened up the game was the smell. I will not be putting anything in this box near my mouth. It was uncanny. I wish I could smell-o-vision it to you. It smelled almost exactly like what I remember a Spirit Halloween store smelling like. So I guess just cheap plastic, maybe? Odd scent aside though, the game pieces are really cool. The pirates and the ships each have a unique design and are pretty good quality. Gold coins are molded from plastic instead of just being cardboard, which I think is a nice touch, and the art is all pretty great across the board. Although the literal game board, I didn't care for that much. And that's where my compliments end. The game is not fun. It's too random. There's almost no strategy to the game, and it's mostly decided by where the wind randomly blows, where your dice randomly rolls, and what cards you randomly draw. Also, something I really dislike is that when you get dealt cards randomly at the start of the game, it can potentially completely unbalance things. It can have a player starting with 2 dice instead of 1, while another player starts the game by losing a turn, which is just dumb. Start everyone on a fair playing field and let things diverge from there. On other rules frustrations, there's a compass that determines the wind direction, which can affect your movement speed. And in the rulebook it states, sometimes it will end up landing between 2 directions, making it unclear which way the wind is blowing. Captain William Lubber suggests that those playing the game make a ruling prior to the start of play to determine the cutoff line for each direction. It just feels incomplete. Like, why not suggest how to do it, but then state, if your party wants to decide a different ruling before the game, Captain Blubber says that's a pirate's right. To me, it just feels like they couldn't figure out a way to resolve the problem and went, let the players figure it out. I've got to go see the Transformers movie. So all in all, the game is not great. You could probably reinvent it to be something much better, but why not play a game that was just good from the beginning? On a higher note, I discovered what's probably the most interesting game and interesting anything connected to the series, the Monsterology Ios Game. Now this almost completely slid under my radar, but I randomly stumbled across this video when I was looking to see if there was any information on the uncompleted Monsterology board game. So this game was an app available for download on iPhone, iPad, and iPod, back when that was still a thing, that sought to be on the cutting edge of hybrid physical and digital gaming. Developed by the company Nuco Toys, pretentiously self-labeled as Silicon Valley's toy company. The app used physical cards to unlock characters within the game, much like Skylanders or the Amiibo of today, although the technology itself was way different, in that it used what they called touch code technology, which uses a special conductive ink and printing that carries energy within your hand to run a specific circuit pattern printed onto the card. The app can then interpret the pattern to know which monster the card was. It's such a creative design, and the implementation of it onto trading cards really makes the game seem magical. Nuco Toys developed games for both Monsterology and Animal Planet, and there was a ton of buzz surrounding the release of these games. Lots of articles talking about how they were going to revolutionize the toy industry and bring it into the future, as well as excitement about their advisory board, which featured one Richard Garfield, aka the creator of Magic the Gathering. But after the initial hype, there's almost no discussion of them. Like seriously, they disappeared off the map. Presently, if you try to go to their website, either it fails to connect or you get redirected to this page on a completely different site. Looking at the community tab on their Facebook page, they seem to stop responding around the end of September 2012 and go completely radio silent from there on out. I was able to find one article from August of 2012 that said they were looking for $2.5 million for the company, which I can only assume was a sign that they had gone through their initial funding, an amount estimated to be between $5 and $6 million. I think that the games simply weren't as successful as they thought they'd be. I mean, there was big talk of them competing with Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, but they definitely never got near those numbers. And as neat of an idea as the cards are, I think a lot of the execution was flawed. The design of the Monsterology cards is pretty cool. The art is fantastic as usual for the series, and the layout, while a bit jumbled, still looks pretty nice. The Animal Planet cards, on the other hand, are, well, they're just photographs. Like, I can't say that I'd personally be that excited to open a booster pack and go, wow, I got a desert! Oh, no way, I'm not gonna trade this for your leopard. You gotta throw in the capybara too before I even consider a trade. I would maybe open like 1 or 2 of these packs and immediately be bored. The Animal Planet game is also mostly educational, and the gameplay consists of running and eating animals and a few little tasks, but not much more. At least that's what I can gather from the few videos that still exist of it. The Monsterology game was meant for slightly older audiences, and the gameplay had a bit more strategy to it, but from the demos I saw, it seemed pretty simplistic and not particularly engaging. So the games themselves just really didn't seem that great, and the cards are just alright. Really the best thing going for it is the gimmick of scanning, which in itself was even flawed at times.
I'll take a look at what I got in my hand. Let's say I want to bring in my Dark New.
Okay.
So I can bring up my card dock again. I can touch the card that says bring them in.
This is, I think, one of the coolest parts.
This is the cool part. Get on the side. This is the coolest part.
Kind of embarrassingly at times. I imagine the nail in the coffin for many was probably the pricing of the game. Now, I don't know this for certain because sadly information surrounding these apps are so limited, and I can't read the reviews on the App Store as they're non-existent anymore. But the cards were sold in 2 physical booster packs, 3 cards for $1.99 and 7 cards for $3.99. Now firstly, just from a numbers game, you're losing to Magic and Pokemon that have more cards in the same priced packs. And secondly, I'm not sure if there were any free cards in the game, or if you had to buy cards to play in the first place. They emphasize that the app is free, but I think you had to buy physical cards or purchase packs in the in-game store in order to play at all. So if you had to buy the cards to try and complete your collection, you would end up spending a small fortune, and even have to spend quite a bit of money just to play in the first place. I can't say for certain what went wrong, but I assume all these little things chipped away at them until eventually the company presumably ran out of money, and then eventually the app went along with them. But don't fret, there's one other digital Ology game you can still play. There were talks of there being Dragonology, Wizardology, and Piratology games for the DS, PC, as well as Wii, being developed by the company Codemasters, but, well, the only one that ever actually got made was Dragonology for the DS. The game is, it's not good. Much like the books, it's visually pretty cool to look at, but the gameplay is just awful. Play the thrilling dragon game where you spin a wheel to try and land on a number. Maybe it's for the best that the other games were never made. And the big final climax of the Ology series spin-offs is the Ology Cinematic Universe, which I kind of wish was a joke. Back in 2008, Universal Studios had the rights to make a film out of Dragonology, but nothing ever came of that. Then in 2012, it was reported that apparently the director of Ice Age was developing an Alienology film for Fox, but that also never happened. And now most recently in 2018, Paramount announced their desire to make a film franchise surrounding all 13 of the Ology books, with the hope that each member of their writing team will embrace one of the books and it'll evolve into a series of independent scripts that all interconnect in the same universe. Listen, if a single Ology movie ever gets made, I will consume a whole Dragonology book. It's never gonna happen. But who needs these fancy Hollywood movies anyways, when these videos already exist?
Hello, fellow ologists. I've been tracking a young knucker dragon here in St Leonard's Forest, and today I'm hoping to take a cast of its footprint for my records. Look, see, these deep scratches in its claws. Now, if we're lucky, there might be a good claw print around here somewhere. There, look.
It's an interesting blip in my childhood that had so much more to it than I ever realized. The books are still really cool, even though pretty much everything else surrounding it sucks, and it seems like they figured that out. as the series hasn't really tried to branch out much in recent years other than the whole movie business. It's mostly been sticking to these main series Ology books, and presumably continuing to do those well. It's a shame so much of this is so far back in time, as I'm sure there's other things that I'm missing out on. I know there used to be a really interesting website called Ology World, but currently it just redirects to the publisher's website. There's still some videos showing the archival of it, and I think it would have been really fun to explore, but sadly it's been lost to time. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I'm sorry for those of you who've been subscribed that it's been such a long gap. Thank you for everyone commenting, watching during the gap. I've read all the comments. I really do. I really appreciate you all. I've kind of fell out of love with Magic in the last few months. As you notice, this is my first non-MTG video. I really liked making this video. I thought it was a lot of fun. I hope everyone watching enjoyed it. If you're new here, hey, welcome. Pretend that there wasn't, a huge gap. Subscribe. There probably won't be another huge one. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.